We are 66 days away from the NFL draft, and the rumors surrounding the New York Giants are starting to heat up. NFL insiders and Giants insiders are saying there is a world where Abdul Carter could be a Giant and Jaxson Dart. And we're going to break that down on today's show. But first, I want to hear from you. If the Giants come out of day 2 of the NFL draft and they get Abdul Carter in round 1 and they get Jaxson Dart, the quarterback out of Ole Miss, in round 2, how would you grade this outcome? Get out your red pen and let me know. A, B, C, D, or F. Sound off for me. You're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. Appreciate everybody for stopping by. Let's dive into it. Could Abdul Carter be in play for the New York Giants despite having a guy like Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeaux on this team? Paul Schwartz of the New York Post, he wrote this over the weekend. I thought it was really interesting, saying it is certainly plausible that Penn State edge rusher Abdul Carter will end up as the number 1 prospect on the Giants draft board. Yes, Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeaux are returning starters. No, that would not eliminate Carter as an option for the Giants. All 3 could actually play at the same time. If Thibodeaux is not on the team after the 2026 season, that would leave Carter and Burns, who is signed through 2028, as the dynamic duo off the edge for this football team. A lot of people, and I expect a lot of teams, when their big boards are finalized and reports start coming out where each team has each player stacked up, I expect Abdul Carter to maybe be the consensus number 1 prospect across all of the National Football League. And you already look at some of the top guys out there like Mel Kiper and others like Dane Brugler and Todd McShay and Field Yates. Almost every single one has Abdul Carter as the number 1 player, and for good reason. The 6'3", 260-pound edge rusher, maybe more like 240 pounds. I think that was a little bit of a program weight for him. But the 21-year-old, I really do believe, is just scratching the surface of who he can be. And I think the player he was in college football, which is a great player, he's going to be even better in the National Football League. This was his first season in 2024 actually playing off the edge. He was an off-the-ball, inside the box, inside linebacker the prior seasons for Penn State. But then they saw some of those similar traits that they saw in Micah Parsons. Elite first step, strong at the point of attack, and he's able to use his hands to get off blocks and make plays behind the line of scrimmage, but he's also got an extremely high IQ, and he had great success. 66 pressures this past year, 12 sacks, 24 tackles for loss, including 68 tackles on the season. He also had 4 pass breakups and 2 forced fumbles. When you look at some of his 2024 comparable and grades to other players in this draft class, he stands out. You see the pass rush grade at 92.3, the true pass set pass rush grade 93.0. His run stop rate, 7.6. His pass rush win rate, 22.8. One of the tops of the class. And you see the difference in hits and hurries start to pick up as the years go by from 2022 to 2023 and then 2024. In 2023, he only had 94 snaps on the D-line and 470 in the box, whereas this year he had 642 snaps as a pass rusher and just 90 as an off-ball backer. And that is why I believe he is still becoming who he is going to be in the NFL. This is a guy that is just learning that position. And I'm not going to say he didn't have technique, because he absolutely did, but he pretty much won with raw athleticism and just sheer determination to say, I'm going to get to the quarterback, I'm going to get in the backfield, and I'm going to blow up plays. And he did that, and I think he will in the NFL. Dane Brugler, who I think is the best in the business, he said this about Abdul Carter. Quote, Carter might not have elite size, but his explosiveness is special, and it allows him to win with initial burst, edge, speed, or power through contact. His rush plan and sequencing continues to improve with his reps, and he projects as the type of pass rusher that can force offenses to alter their game plan. And I know the Giants have Kayvon Thibodeaux, and I know the Giants have Brian Burns, and they're already paying a lot of money to Dexter Lawrence. But as we know, as people that bleed red and blue, people that saw the 2007 Super Bowl, people that saw the Super Bowl in 2011, you can never have too many pass rushers. And when you have that lead in the fourth quarter, and you can rotate in and out fresh pass rusher after fresh pass rusher, that is going to increase the likelihood of you winning ball games, and I would love to see Abdul Carter on this team if both quarterbacks are gone. This will, I think, teeter a little bit on Kayvon Thibodeaux and his fifth-year option. I know Paul Schwartz made it seem like it wouldn't, but I think it does. And it sounds like the Giants are just going to pick that up. Schwartz wrote this for the New York Post. The Giants are strongly leaning towards picking up Thibodeaux's option. The deadline is May 1st. If they do pick it up, he will be paid $16.1 million for the 2026 season. So the way fifth-year options work after your third year in the NFL as a first-round pick, you have to make a decision for that fifth year. So you make the decision for year 5 prior to year 4. I expect the Giants to pick it up. I did a video saying they shouldn't. I still feel that way because I think $16 million is too much for Thibodeaux, but I'm not going to be mad at them. That was the first pick of the Joe Schoen era. They're not going to pick up the fifth year for Evan Neal. I doubt they admit publicly that they think they whiffed on those 2 selections. We got more to talk about around the NFL draft, and I don't want you to miss it. So subscribe and turn your notifications on. When news comes out, when rumors heat up and reports are brought out to us, we're going to break it down on this channel. So subscribe and turn your notifications on. Alrighty, could Jaxson Dart be a New York Giant? I do think that is a likely scenario for this organization. If they're on the clock at pick number 3, and we say Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward are both gone, the Giants may have to wait and probably will wait. Obviously, hopefully they don't reach at pick number 3 to round 2. And could that be Dart? Sounds like he's QB3 on their big board. We're going to dive into that in a second. First, though, if you want to be rocking Malik Neighbors' jersey this year, go to chatsports.com/neighbors and get your jersey today. They've got the blue one. They've got the white one. They've got some alternates as well. Rep Malik Neighbors this year. I think this time next year we're going to be looking at him as a top 5 consensus wide receiver. So show him some love. Get your jersey today, chatsports.com/neighbors. Alrighty, is Jaxson Dart QB3 for the New York Giants? That is what Paul Schwartz said, and there's a lot of people across college football, and when it comes to scouting for the NFL draft and the combine, that conversation is starting to heat up. We've seen some people try to say that he's actually QB2. I'm going to let everyone have their own opinion. For me, it's Cam Ward, it's Shedeur Sanders, and then there is a pretty seismic gap between Sanders and Dart, a prospect who I do like at the age of just 21, but I think there are some things that he has to drastically improve upon to be ready to go on Sundays in year 1. I like the growth that we saw, though, from year 2023 to 2024. The completion percentage went up. The touchdowns went up. This was someone that I thought looked a lot more calm and cool in the pocket. I thought that he was much better at getting to plays at the line of scrimmage and getting in and out of looks. I thought he was sliding protections a little bit better in year 2. And while he still had that gunslinger mentality where really a lot of his success comes off gambler-like throws, it didn't bite him in the butt nearly as much as it did in 2024 that it did in 2023. Still has a ways to go there, but this is a huge year for him. And some of the things that I really like about his game, I think he throws with great touch. I think he can layer the football to all levels of the field. He's got the 1 ball, he's got the 2 ball that he can layer over that second line of defense, and he's got the 3 ball. Maybe one of the best deep throwers in this class. It turns over beautifully, and it falls right in that bucket. I think he's got good anticipation as well. Overall, I feel like he has a good feel for the game, and he's an underrated runner as well. Not afraid to lower his shoulder, get that extra yard. Don't know if you always want that out of a quarterback, but he's just a gamer. Competitive toughness, and he is a master in that RPO system. Shout out to Lane Kiffin. They run the quick game just as good as anybody in college football, and he'll be ready to do that at an NFL level. I do worry about the mental processing, though. Not many times he had to get from read 1, 2, 3, and he rarely ever got to read 4 if there was one. His decision-making has to improve. I think he's a little reckless throwing over the middle of the field, and sometimes I feel like he plays that hero ball mentality, kind of like Cam Ward. He has to understand when the juice is worth the squeeze in those opportunities. I worry about pass-heavy situations when teams know he's going to throw the football, and his footwork. I think it's a little sloppy, but that is something that could easily improve with NFL coaching and year-round training at the position. I got him as a day 2 grade, and as does Dane Brugler, who writes this. After transferring out of USC, once Caleb Williams arrived, Jaxson Dart found a home with Lane Kiffin. He leaves Oxford, Mississippi with numerous seasons and career records, including the Rebels' all-time leaders in wins with 28, passing yards with 10,617, and total offensive yards of 12,117. He needs time to develop his progression-based reads and anticipation, things he wasn't asked regularly to do in college. But Dart is a natural thrower of the football with promising mobility and high-level competitive intangibles. Brugler has Dart as his QB3, and he has him as the 57th overall player on his big board. And look, I'm about the same. I do have him as QB3. I like the traits of QB4, Jalen Milroe, a lot. Obviously, the rushing threat, using his legs and his ability to throw the deep ball. But as a ready-to-play prospect, I do have Dart above him. Overall, I have a little bit of a worry of if the Giants should take him at 34. Because, one, I don't know if he'll exactly be there. And if he is there, I still do have a question of if the Giants should pull the trigger. You always see nowadays these quarterbacks get pushed higher and higher to the top of the draft order, and I'm a bit conflicted with him at pick 34. The only way it makes sense is if you don't get your guy, obviously, in the first round. But two, are you going to have had the opportunity to sign or trade for a quarterback that you really feel comfortable enough playing the entire 2025-2026 season? Because I don't think Jaxson Dart's ready to play. I think he needs to sit. I think he needs to watch, and I think he needs to work on his game. I think he could benefit from being in a film room with a veteran and benefit from being next to and learning from a guy like Brian Daboll. You have to make sure if you're going to draft Jaxson Dart, you have a plan in place where he does not need to play right away. Because if he does, I think he could play and lower his confidence. A lot of turnovers could happen. I think he takes a lot of sacks. When he sees pressure, his eyes go down. And I just don't know if he is ready to play in this league. And I don't want to just ruin the guy in year one, who I think has some promising traits and could be a good quarterback down the line. I don't know if I'd take him at 34, because I wouldn't take him. I wouldn't take him at 34. But you know what? The Giants, they might just have to. Do you want Jaxson Dart at pick 34? Type Y for yes, type N for no. And make sure you are following me on social media. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram at @MarshallGreen_. Hit me up over there, and let's go Big Blue.